Welcome to Marco Has a Plan. I'm Marco, and we are going to do this all in one take, hopefully. The plan is actually to build a new firewall. My current firewall is a PFSense. It is running as a virtual machine on a Dell R710 in my data center or in my server room. And I want a PFSense firewall, but I want it on a dedicated device. So I want to go away from my PFSense as a virtual machine, and I want to put it on a dedicated device. And the device I want should be compact, should have a little power, not much, but it should consume as little as possible power. So I did a little research, and what I came to was this. This is a company called PCEngines, and they're originally from Sunnyvale. They moved to Switzerland, and they built single board computers for networking. And they built Alex, APU, and the APU2. I have no idea about these two, but the APU2 I already have. And the one I have should be the APU2D4, although I have had this board laying around for 6 to 9 months now. And when I bought it, there was no APU2D4. I bought an APU2C4. And the difference between both boards you can actually see down here. So when they made the update to APU2D, they reduced leakage current between V3 and V3A power rails, which could cause problems with SD cards, and they added options for better compatibility with LTE modems. So I do not have that, but I guess I do not need that because I want to run PFSense from an SSD. So what I have is the APU2C4, which is spec-wise exactly as the 2D4. So it has 3 Ethernet NICs. It has, as you can see down here, an AMT embedded G-Series GX412TC 1 GHz quad Jaguar core with 64-bit and AES-NI support. And it's got a little cache too. We have 4 GB of DDR3 RAM. We can boot from mSATA, which we are going to do, SD card, external USB, or SATA plus power connector. It needs 12 volts DC, and it consumes about 6 to 12 watts, which is, I guess, very good for the power it has, I think. 3 gigabits Ethernet NICs, and I/O is DB9 serial, to USB 3.0, to USB 2.0 internal. We have 3 front panel LEDs and a push button, and of course the gigabit NICs. What we do not have is anything like VGA or HDMI or anything like that. So we have no video output. So we have to do the first steps with this thing and installing PFSense actually with the serial connector and with the serial console. And up to this point, I have never done this before, so this is going to be interesting. But I should mention this video stops when the device is assembled. So nothing with connecting, nothing with power up for this part. And yeah, so I ordered this about, as I said, 6 to 9 months ago. And let's just take a look at what I ordered. So let me just get this and get this down a bit so I can do this. Whoop. A little better. Okay. Go to full screen. And we put this thing aside a little, so everything is a little nicer around here. So we get a little bit better lighting. Is that possible? Can we do this from here? No. I guess it will have to be this way. I guess it's my first video for a long time, and we will deal with this. So the first thing I got was a serial cable from StarTech.com. I like StarTech products, even though I only bought this and my server rack from StarTech, but both seem to be high quality things. So a serial cable in null modem configuration, which we, I guess, will need for first config for installing PFSense. And away it flies. This contains the power brick. Oops, fly away. Yeah, nothing happened, so it looks good. Of course, we have zero contrast here. Okay, power brick. There you see it. It's got 12 volts and 2 amps, so 24 watts. Let's not fly. That's 4. We got an SSD, MSATA SSD. It's a Transcend MSA370. I only bought it because it was one of the only name brand SSDs I could find with 32 gigabytes of storage, because I really did not need more than 32 gigabytes. And I hope so. Yeah, this is why I bought Transcend. If I had needed more, I might have gone with Samsung or something like that. Enclosure. Enclosure. 2 ports, top and bottom, and a small bag with screws, feet, and actually plugs. And we can just, this is the top part, this is the bottom part. The bottom part also has all the I/O. If we can see this right. So these 2 holes here and here are actually for Wi-Fi. So if you put in a PCI Express Wi-Fi card into your PFSense box, that base your APU2 PFSense box, you could use these for the antennas. We will not need them, so we can plug them up, I guess. Power, USB, Ethernet, 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 serial. There it is. Okay, so much for this. Let's put these aside, and this, and here we have, strange to work this way, the actual board. So it's an APU2C4. Let's open this up. This is the very sophisticated heatsink, but I guess at a system power of 6 to 12 watts, you don't really need more. We have a manual how to assemble it, how to assemble the heatsink. And this manual actually states, never run this board without heatsink and outside of an enclosure. You have to put it inside an enclosure with the heatsink to run this, otherwise you could damage it. So put this aside and get this out of here. Okay. So this is actually the board. Get a little closer here. As you can see, PCI Express, MSATA, and we have SATA here. We have an SD card slot here. Here's the RAM. Here's the CPU. Here's a little more RAM. This is actually a SIM card slot, so you could use an LTE module in one of these two, and one of these two is actually connected to this SIM slot, so we could use a SIM with an LTE modem, I guess. Yeah, connectors. We already talked about this, and we already said no VGA, no HDMI, so serial console is the way to go. So I guess without further ado, we are going to try to build this thing. So I guess the first thing I'm going to do is to install the SATA SSD. Where did this thing fly? It flew here. Okay. So let's take this out of the box and let this fly away. And let this fly away. And let's just go inside here and take this out of its casing. Let this fly away. So try to be very careful here. So this is the SATA SSD. And I guess we just have to align it here. Okay. Put down, and there we are. Now let's just see what this thing says about this. I've read it a few times and I basically know what I have to do, but better safe than sorry. So next thing is to do, we have to remove these two screws. And I tried to find a good tool to do this, but I didn't find one. So we have to actually use this one. So we just loosen these here, just to get them out. Okay, number one. And number two. Okay. Now we're going to need this stuff and the heatsink and everything with it. So I'm going to put the top aside for now. We might only need the bottom. We do not need these screws, so I'm going to put these away, but we're going to need this heatsink. Now, come on. Okay. Now we have two pads here, but I guess we're only going to need one of them. So, does this have a foil on here? No. No. Okay, so put this here for now. Turn this around. And here we have the CPU. I see right now that you cannot see anything there. So let me just work my magic for a second so that we get a little bit of a better picture, of a brighter picture. Now we're talking. Okay, this might be a little too much. Okay, so let's go on then. Okay, so we're going to take this. We put it in half. Oh no, we don't need to put it in half. So theoretically, I would clean this surface here to get a good thermal conductivity going, but I wouldn't know what I needed. I do not have any alcohol wipes or anything, and a microfiber cloth might actually not be a really good idea because of static. But do I dare? No, I don't. At least not here. I'm going to take 1/2 of this, put it away, and just try to place it, of course, completely wrong. I'm a sucker for right angles, so this is not good enough for me. Okay, this looks better. Okay. Now we need to remove the blue foil from here. Come on. Okay. Remove that. Take both. We're not going to need this anymore. Okay, now we need this heatsink. And we can clean this off once again on this side at least to get a good conductivity. And this said that we should just place this here, but these things, they could conduct. But they say to do it. But they also say not to create shorts. So should I dare? I guess I should dare. And I dare. So after we had this done, we can remove the blue foil from here. If we get it removed. This seems to be, and this is just double-sided tape here. And yes, now we get it done. Okay, so we just remove this. Okay. And we can just check we're on the right track here. Okay. And now it gets really tricky because the way we are right now, we have to, I guess I could use this with the anesthetic foil. Bit. Move this back a little. Okay, now we take the lower half of our casing and try to slide this in here. Does this look good? I guess. No, we just create contact here. Okay, so let's just turn this around and take a look. And this actually looks really good for now, but I just want to see if I can, I can still raise this thing again, put this aside, and just check that this thing actually has a good conductivity with the casing. It's glued on nicely. Okay. So we take this again, and this is actually not part of the manual. The manual just says to put this in and leave it there, but I just couldn't. so should be flush with screw holes here, and give a little pressure. Okay, so this is done for now. Now we can take our screws. Come on. Take all of our stuff. And a screwdriver, and we take these screws and just screw this in here. Screw this here. Yeah. No magic happening here, just 4 screws. And okay, get them nice and tight. Okay, so now we take our top of the enclosure and just, I guess, slide it over. And on the side you have a few holes again, and you have these black screws. Number 1. Number 2. Number 3. And number 4. Get them nice and tight. Okay. Then we have our 2 screws from the serial connector. We can screw these back in and tighten them with our special tool. And by special tool, I mean this. Okay, number 1. Oops. And number 2. And of course I scratched my housing, but I guess that's not going to be a problem. So we turn this around and we have these rubber feet, and we can just put them on. Just put them over these screw holes here. Guess there's nothing to do wrong here. Okay. 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 Now we try this. Okay. Plug number 1. And plug number 2. And just have to put away all the stuff that is bothering us here. So we are done. This is our APU2C4, and in the next video we are going to turn this on for the first time, and we're going to try to install PFSense on it. So follow me if you want to see this, and thank you for watching.